what are 3 quick tips for people who don't know how to take care of plants and everything always dies like me? Just 3 very quick, simple tips they can put into place today.
Totally. So I like to preach something called intuitive plant care, which sounds way more complex than it is. And it just means that if you look at your plant, it will generally tell you a lot more if you just pay a little bit of attention to it. So are the leaves facing down versus facing up? Just try and pay attention to the cues that the plant is giving you. And that will give you a lot of information. If you just glance at it once a day, and you'll see changes in the plant, and those types of changes. And as you pay attention over time, you'll start to gather a little bit more knowledge on, okay, I think it looks happier versus I think it doesn't look quite as happy. And just all of those little tiny data points over time will just make you much more in tune with what the plant needs. I will say a lot of people, especially beginner plant parents, tend to overwater their plants. That tends to be, from what we find, is that overwatering tends to be one of the number one culprits of people struggling with their plants. So maybe pull back. I'm not saying there are tons of underwaterers out there too, so this is not great advice.
More offenders are the overwaters.
But I find that overwaters tend to be more offenders. And then lastly, I would say utilize the tools that are, that you have. So every plant needs 3 things. They need water, they need sunlight, and then they do need some nutrition. So how they get that nutrition can be a fertilizer. We recommend utilizing a fertilizer. We do think it's a great hack to keeping your plants alive. They can also derive nutrition from their soil, or trace macro and micronutrients in their water. So as long as they're getting some nutrition, they need sunlight. So the more sunlight, the better. As you can see, I have a decent amount of sunlight in my house, which is going to make things a lot easier. I would say the last thing, and I know I'm giving kind of a lot of tips at this point, but
you're just very passionate, and it's okay.
You set yourself up for success. Start with plants that are going to lead to success. Start with a pothos. Start with a philodendron. Maybe a monstera. Start with a snake plant. These are plants that are going to be fairly easy to care for. Once you start to see success with this plant, it's going to build confidence to be able to go out and get something a little bit more challenging. And find a plant that's well suited to your environment. You moderate light, get a plant that's suited for moderate light. If you have a lot of bright light, you can get some plants that are better suited for bright light. If you have low light, get a plant that's suited for low light. Then you're going to be successful. You can't, a plant is a living thing. It won't work in all environments. So if you pick the right plant that's best suited for the environment, you're going to have more success. And if you start with an easier plant, you're going to have more success.
Okay. And then let's pivot a little bit just to, I think one of the things that I've heard, kind of in chatting today, you've gone into business with, someone that's a very good friend. I want to leave folks who are in a similar situation and they're contemplating, do I get into a business with someone that I know or not? Give me 3 pieces of advice you'd give to anyone who's looking to start a business with a partner that they know.
Absolutely. So I'd recommend it personally. I've had a great experience overall.
Hey.
Lila and I are still dear friends, but it's not without its challenges. So I would say buckle up and get ready for the challenges of a relationship, because a business partnership, a friendship, these are all different types of relationships. So you've got to be willing to work on it. You've got to be willing to solve problems. I mean, I highly recommend Lila and I at different times throughout the business have brought on an executive coach when we're going through challenging, things with regard to, making changes within the business structure or things like that. You have to run at your problems the same way you run at the problems in the business. You have to run at the problems in your relationship as co-founders, as partners with, solutions, an open mind, a desire for things to work. And so I think that if you have that mentality, you have that positivity, you bring that desire for things to be successful to your business partnership, then, you really can navigate the challenges, the ups and downs of any relationship. And so I just would advise that, you also want to go into business with someone that has that same eagerness to solve problems and to work towards a really positive business relationship, positive friendship. You want to be aligned with those.
Core values probably have to be similar, I would think, right?
Definitely.
Well, I have just had a wonderful time chatting with you. It's really just great to hear kind of insights when you're building a business like that.